This is the Phoenix mind, where the fire refines, break the chains and rise to shine. Rise stronger, lead with heart, every end a brand new start. With Lisa Manzo, we transform, we ignite. This is the Phoenix mind.
Hi, welcome to the Phoenix Mind Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Manzo, and today my special guest is Marilyn Richards, and I'm going to read you her bio so you can hear all about her. Marilyn is a dual service U.S. Navy and Air Force veteran, trauma survivor, and founder of Echo Tango Sierra LLC, a transition and empowerment platform helping veterans and trauma survivors build resilient, purpose-driven lives. Drawing from her own experiences of healing through faith, service, and emotional recovery, Marilyn provides trauma-informed, faith-based guidance for those ready to rise. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Marilyn.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So how did you end up in the military, and tell us a little bit about your story and your trauma?
Yes. So part of the reason why I joined, I joined the Navy because my twin sister, she had made the decision to join the Navy after we graduated high school, and I wanted to go with her. But my dad and my stepdad were both career veterans, retired from the Air Force, and both Vietnam vets as well. So their legacy is what I carry with me along with my own service, because I had two dads that served in that period, in that era. And that period of time, especially in the military, was very difficult. And but my dad always told me, like, if you didn't know what you wanted to do, then consider the military after high school. And that's what me and my twin sister did. And we went to boot camp together. She got stationed in Hawaii, and I got stationed in Bremerton, Washington. And just joined the Navy because of my twin sisters.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's so incredible. And how was your time in the military? Did you enjoy it? Was it a hard learning experience?
It was very much of a culture shock. I mean, 18 years old, fresh out of high school, spent the summer just preparing for boot camp, and it was culture shock is like the term that I would describe my experience, because not only at 18 years old, like you wouldn't you're so moldable and so coachable at that age. And I got shocked into this lifestyle that I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get into now? Oh my goodness, what did I get into? Right. And so when we went to boot camp, I was thankful that my sister was there, but it was quite an adjustment. And with the structure and the discipline, and back then, you would get yelled at, because that was just the culture of the military. You get yelled at, and they play mind games with you, and so they condition you uh, into this moldable soldier that the military wants to shape you into, right? So at that age, you can really be shaped into someone who's going to be disciplined and strong and independent and a hard worker. And well, that's basically what I became, a little too much of a hard worker. Yeah, I got stationed on the USS Carl Vinson. It's a Nimitz class carrier, and I had joined the air division, so I would be up on deck and not below, but I would be up on deck, and would later on launch aircraft off the flight deck.
Oh, wow, that's so interesting. How long were you in the service for?
I only did 4 years because it was very.
Oh, they don't minimize it. You did 4 years. Please don't minimize it. Some people don't do any. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. 4 years on an aircraft carrier is a long time. But I had been surrounded by toxic leadership in a toxic environment, so I didn't want to reenlist. When you couple poor leadership with long hours and toxic leadership. Like, and it's just compounding one thing after another. And after a while, I was like, I don't want this. If this is going to be my next 20 years in the military, I don't want it. And that was me. That I After 4 years, I'm like, I'm done. I wanted to finish my time and get out. So
And just out of curiosity, did your sister stay in there?
she stayed in for a little bit longer. I think she served 8 years.
Uh-huh.
For 8 years. But she ended up getting pregnant, and so she didn't want to be away from her baby. And so
Oh,
that's
good for her.
yeah. So she served a little longer than I did, but she ended up getting out too.
So in your bio, I read that you have a platform that helps veterans and trauma survivors build called Echo Tango Sierra. So tell us a little bit about that.
So my business was born out of my pain. So
Usually is.
I'm not just a military transition coach. I'm also a life transition coach. So, I'm about empowering both men and women and thriving in life. Not just, when you experience trauma, you kind of get frozen in time, and it's really hard to think about tomorrow, and it's really hard to think about life and a happy life at that. So, as a Christian, one of my scriptures that I held on to often was Jeremiah 29:11, knowing that God, his plans for us are not plans of evil, but they're good. To give us hope in a future and expected outcome. So I would hold on to that, and times where I've been in a really depressed state or a state of anxiety or being triggered. I was triggered in 2020, and that was a very challenging time. And so Echo Tango Sierra was born out of this dream, this idea of like, well, I didn't transition well from the military. And if I could have someone like me to guide me through life after that, after getting out, that's how I process, and turn my pain into purpose, is being able to be that mentor, that guide, that coach, that person that's like, hey man, if you've ever read the story of like, the guy that goes in the pit, and then like a pastor walks through and says, hey, I'll pray for you, and then some passersby, I don't know if you've ever heard that story of like the guy in the pit, and he
No,
asked,
keep going. Tell it.
so if you Google the story, it's like this guy ends up getting into a pit, or whatever figure of a person you want to, think of. And so he's trying to get out, but somebody passes by first, it's like a Good Samaritan story where someone comes by and they're like, oh, I'll pray for you, and then walks on by, but that doesn't help him get out of the pit, right? And then so someone else comes by and says, oh, here, I'll give you money, and as if that's going to help him get out of the pit, right? So then later on, another guy comes on and says, and he jumps right in the hole with him. And then the person that's trapped in the hole is like, hey, what are you doing? Now we're both going to be stuck. And he's like, I know the way. I'll show you out. And so that's the story where I come from, is like, I know the way based on my own experience of not transitioning well and not adjusting well. I know the way. I can guide you and coach you to a better path.
That's so interesting to me. So what are some of the struggles that you encountered in transitioning? Because I've never really I know a lot of veterans struggle, and I've heard that. And what are some of the things you struggle with, so that the people that aren't in the military can understand it, and how can we help?
So what I like to encourage when I'm talking to and networking in my own community, and when I'm talking to people, is, it takes a village to raise a child, right? But it also takes a community to help each other thrive. We need each other. And I think we were talking about this earlier about, sometimes feeling alone. And so many times I felt alone and isolated, misunderstood, and like nobody understands what I'm going through. You don't have to be in the military for someone to understand what it feels like to be in a really low place, in the dark, rock bottom, in this place that's hopeless and dark, and life will deal you a lot of shit, and to be honest, it can be too much at times, and especially when you experience a traumatic incident, your body goes into this fight or flight mode, and then you end up going into survival mode, which that has been my life. I've been in survival mode since I was a little girl, and it's not really how we're supposed to live. It's a temporary thing that our body is designed to protect us, right? But when you understand that healing first begins within, and wanting that help and reaching for it and looking for it, then your eyes begin to open, and then you begin to meet people that are like, oh, so gosh, you've been through something similar. Oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one. And then I started meeting other veterans, other both men and women, that have experienced some kind of trauma and some kind of negative experience that they didn't transition well. And so then you begin to meet others. And like I say all the time, I follow this relationship coach often. Her name's Jackie Dorman. And she says that we were created for relationships. We were created for community. And so that community is so important to healing and thriving. And that's what is that's the main goal, right? Is to thrive and to live life and live it to our fullest. But we can't do that alone.
No, absolutely not. So, you also told me that in your intro, you told me a little bit about that through therapy, faith, and reflection,
Mhm.
you were able to heal. So let's talk about how reflection helps. When looking back, what did it help you see that you didn't see when you were in it? Because we never see it when we're in it.
Oh, right. That's where a therapist or someone from a clinical perspective can help shape your perspective. And one of the therapies that I did that helped me to kind of turn those negative thought patterns and turn it around is the cognitive processing therapy. And it's also it's a common type of therapy that a lot of veterans like myself who've been through as a sexual trauma survivor, is what we use to process those negative thought patterns. And so that was so in my journey, I've been finding like coupling clinical with holistic methods is actually very helpful, especially when you're coming from an internal reflection, or if you need to step away and assess and evaluate and look at what happened, because it's so easy to blame ourselves, right? It's so easy to say, oh my god, it's my fault. I shouldn't have said yes. I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. We get into this self-blame game, right? So when you have someone kind of help walk you through and from a different perspective, you're able to look at, oh, it wasn't my fault. When I said no, that meant fucking no. Like there's no fucking yes in the no. No means no. But most people want to overstep their boundaries, and and it's all about that power and control for some people, especially if someone has like narcissistic tendencies or like behaviors that stem from that self-service,
Yeah.
self-glorifying persona. And so my and as a journaler, I love to write. I love to journal. I love to reflect. It really helps to be able to um, assess, evaluate, reflect, not just thoughts, ideas, situations, but to really answer hard questions. And a therapist can help walk you through that. But it takes more than therapy. My journey has had a huge combination of like both clinical and holistic aspects.
What kind of a holistic aspect are you talking about? Because there's so many out there. What helped you?
There's so much, yes, because now, mind you, let me backtrack a little bit. Um, I started my healing journey in 2012 when I filed for my disability compensation. So from 2012 all the way up to now, here we are, and it's 2025, it's November 2025. And so this has been a really, really long process for me to really understand like what is happening with my body, why, I didn't know what PTSD was. That was actually the first thing. It was like, okay, I recognize I need help. How do I get help? So then you start first things first. Is there a therapist I can connect with? Not, you first have to find someone that you can connect with, and then you can start from there. Um, I've I've done veterans retreats. I've done so there's different types of healing retreats. And most recently this year, especially, I did an ayahuasca retreat in Cusco, Peru. And to me, it was such a beautiful healing experience. And plant medicine is still new, but it's something that I would recommend, that a lot of veterans and those who are trauma survivors, I highly recommend. But I recommend that you go with a safe group of people, because
Yeah.
it can be, if you're not guarded, or if you don't have someone that you can trust completely, it's easy to get sucked back into like being taken advantage of, right? So there, you have to watch out for that too.
Right.
But if you look for holistic or plant medicine, like healing retreats, there's that kind of retreat. There's what we have called Warrior Path, or what we have in our local area is a veterans retreat at Guardian Hills. It's a healing retreat center. I have not taken that yet, but there's just so many things that you can find in your community if you just look. But healing retreats are huge.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
when you when you were going through this and you realized that you needed help, was there a specific point in time, like a moment of a Phoenix moment that you thought and you like, I have to change right now?
Oh yeah.
What was
That
that moment like?
oh, you know, when I was severely triggered in 2020, I didn't know what a trigger was. So my body immediately went into this hypervigilant state. So for 3 days, I didn't eat or sleep, and my body was just like shaking, and like it was just horrible. And this was right before COVID. So like when the COVID pandemic began, it just made, it really challenged my mental health, because I was already at a very sensitive stage in my life. And it took me a whole year to be okay. I was proactively just seeking help, therapy, grounding techniques, getting grounded with gardening or art therapy or music therapy, any kind of therapy I could do to kind of help channel that out, right? Because you have arts therapy and things like that can help you channel what your body is feeling, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why the grounding techniques are very helpful. Not just breathing, but having other creative aspects to channel that out, right? So fast forward, was it when did we get out of the post pandemic? I had established my business in 2023, so that was kind of like the beginning of oh, I know, I know who I am. I am someone who's on a mission to help others thrive. And so my Phoenix moment became like, oh, I'm taking this dream and this idea and I'm making it happen. And it began in 2023. Um, and I've been slowly building my side hustle, my business since, because I do work full time, and as a public servant, being furloughed was not fun. Not fun at all. um, but that that was my Phoenix moment when I realized this dream of mine, it can be something. I can take this passion that I have to serve and help others heal and turn and make it happen, like an idea that finally manifested into like, oh, Echo Tango Sierra LLC.
Yeah, what is that? Why does that have significance for you?
So when we get ready to out process or get out of the military, we call it ETS, and the NATO phonetic alphabet for ETS is Echo Tango Sierra.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that, I knew it had significance, and I didn't know what it was, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's expiration term of service.
Expiration term of service. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We're learning lots today.
We're always learning something new, right? Every day, when you stop learning, the day you stop learning is the day you die.
Yeah. PTSD is so interesting, and it's so interesting. And well, people talk about it, they don't really explain what it is very well, and I don't really have a complete understanding of it. Although I know that from my job, I had a PTSD experience that I've recently been able to overcome because of my boss, and I had a really great boss because I had a totally irrational reaction to what happened at work, and she says, "Why is this a big deal?" And I got to answer her question, and I was like, and I got to reflect on it. But I've also been doing my own healing work, so I understand those questions and I know where they're rooted from, and I'm like, oh, that's just a PTSD response that I'm having. And really, I'm safe and it's okay. And I don't need to do that anymore. And just her asking that one question allowed me to let that PTSD go, because it wasn't, it was, I would say it was not a huge PTSD. It was a little one compared to what people in the military experience. But it was great to be able to get past it and say, oh, well, what is this really coming from, and why is it such a big deal? And actually, it's not a big deal. It's just I'm reacting to what happened to the last time, and this is a totally new and completely different situation.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't matter how big or small the incident. If it triggered or traumatized you, your body reacted in that way where now you're in that fight or flight mode,
Yep.
and your body's like, and so, I would, you told me earlier, that it doesn't, like, we all experience that, some kind of traumatic incident, and it affects us in different ways. So
Absolutely.
what you think is little is not, it's really not a little thing. It was a
You.
big deal.
Thank
And
you for that. And you're right, it is a big deal because it affected me, right? And
yeah,
but the thing about it that was good was I was able to make the connection and separate the two instances and separate them and have my mind see the difference so that I didn't have
yeah,
that response the next time. So I was actually able to separate myself from it and heal from it, which is a beautiful thing. Healing's wonderful.
it really is. And I want to give you kudos for that, because it takes a lot of self-awareness and courage to get to that place where you recognize it and you're like, and you separate yourself from it, and then you allow your body to process what you're saying, and like you said it, I'm safe, I'm not, this is a different experience, I'm safe. And
And
so it helps you kind of remove yourself from that, you
yeah,
know
and this journey of healing has been amazing. It's like I heal every day, And this is a lifelong process. You don't just snap your fingers and everything's done and you're completely healed, because anybody who tells you that is lying to you, because it's a process. And as you heal, something else will come up to allow it to heal, because your brain will only allow you to see what it thinks you can handle.
Exactly, exactly. And you said it, it's a process, and it might look different for each person. It doesn't look the same. PTSD is a very complex condition. And like for myself, I don't struggle with nightmares or flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, like my mind blacked out the incident. I had to have my friend remind me of details that I did not remember. And so, PTSD affects people differently.
Yeah,
Trauma affects people differently. And the way
absolutely.
back to it is like, you begin your journey by understanding yourself in the process and what will work for you as you navigate from here on out. But you can't do it alone. You have to have people that will be able to help support and help you navigate. Something I told my therapist earlier, she was like, what do you want me to help you with? And I was like, I need help navigating life with PTSD brain. I'm forever changed. I can't go back to who I used to be. I'm still me, but I'm a different version of me than before that trauma. And so now that I've recognized it and I've healed a lot from what happened, I'm still going to struggle with PTSD brain, because once your brain breaks, it's not the same. And when you rebuild yourself, you're rebuilding yourself in a new version of who you are.
I
Right.
understand that, Marilyn, and I'm just going to suggest to you that you stop programming your brain by telling yourself you're still going to suffer from it, and say, I'm healing from it instead. Because when we tell ourselves, I'm going to keep doing this, we will keep doing it. And we want to get past it, because you're on this great healing journey.
Yes, yes, right. So even though like that situation, like there's, I've never had anything repeat or throw me back. I am healing and I am okay. I am in a safe place. So, it's just reminding yourself of like where you are now, and having those safe protective measures that help you, allow you to move forward. You know what I mean?
I do. So,
Yeah.
Marilyn,
Yeah.
I have two more questions for you. The first question is, when someone wants to learn more from you, how can they do that?
Yeah. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I have a Echo Tango Sierra ETS LinkedIn page, or you can go to Linktree, Echo Tango Sierra, and find me on Linktree. But overall, you can find me at echotangosierra.com, because if you just go to my website, you'll find a lot of information there, and then you can navigate from there and find me on the socials. So
Okay, so a piece of advice for my audience for when they're really struggling with something. What's one thing they can do to keep going?
I said this the other day to a friend of mine who's kind of struggling. She's in a place, she's not in a good place right now. She's another veteran sister of mine. And I said, you know what? You are such a strong woman, and you've been through a lot, right? You will get through this. It sucks now, but tapping into that inner warrior within, that's the phoenix. That's the phoenix rising from the ashes. And we all have that inner warrior. We all have that person that's like, I don't want to die, I want to live. It's just tapping into that part of you that has that reason and that love and that passion to do so. Because of purpose and passion and our mission in life really does move us forward into living a life that is worth living, right?
It sure does. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today, Marilyn. I love talking to you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. And I'm Lisa Manzo, the host of the Phoenix Mind podcast, and I'll see you on the next episode.
This is the Phoenix Mind, where the fire refines. Together we rise, transform our lives. So subscribe.